Perth destroys Central Coast, but the Lion is hungry and demands more from his players. The Glory Girls go 4 straight wins at home, and Western United, back from the dead, turns into ownership chaos for the Mariners. Welcome to the Far Post Perth, the podcast that is more questionable than the FIFA Peace Prize. All presented, of course, by the ID Athletic. Download the latest football catalogue, idathletic.com, and Trio Homes. If you're looking to build, redesign, or renovate, visit triohomes.com.au. Blowing out the cobwebs for 2026. Blayne Treadgold is my name, alongside me, Jaxon Bassett. Welcome back, mates.
Good to be here. Just to quote Bender from Futurama, we're back, baby.
We're back. Certainly are. How was, first of all, we've got James Renton with us.
Thanks, Blayne.
No, that's all right, mate. A bit of the after. Mate, how's the holiday period? All good?
It's been good.
Everyone well?
Nice and calm.
Yeah.
Relaxed.
Yeah.
No,
great.
Good stuff. Plenty of football to get through. We'll kind of had a bit of a look back, if I can get my words out. A few results, of course, over the holiday period, and we'll have a bit of a look back at those and a few other things going on. So there's plenty to sift through on this first episode back for 2026. Let's start the only way we know how to start a podcast, and that is with the good, bad, and the ugly. Well, it can be of the week, of the month, of the holiday period. Kick us off, Jaxon Bassett.
Well, I'll start with probably the biggest talking point on the weekend, and that was Darren and his recovery/redemption arc. It wasn't good on Friday night. He was all over the shop, driving erratically, and he lost his camera, and
Club statement,
allegations of Smirnoff double ices. But he came out on Saturday, and it was like he was a new man. You know,
I think it was a kit number.
Yeah, the kit number and the name on the back gave a little inspiration. So good to see him back after what was a tough night.
I don't think we've got anything to worry about from the machines, as I posted on social media. James Cameron's full of shit, if that's anything to go by, because he was in a state. We'll defeat the machines. Defeat them.
To be fair, Griff has been anti-AI, so it's just another reason.
Yeah, mate, he's probably behind the scenes pulling out all the plugs and everything.
Probably.
Well, the rumor was that George was messing with some of his wires. So maybe a bit of mascot.
Left the sprinklers alone.
A little mascot battle.
That's it.
Someone check him out.
Keep us going, Renton.
My good would be the both the women's and men's team winning this past weekend. I just think both teams have turned a corner, and I hope, touch wood, I haven't jinxed us now, but it was 2 really strong performances by both teams. I enjoyed the women's game. Western Sydney, they're obviously a side that's been struggling for some time, but some of the goals that we scored, and we were far more potent in front of goal, which is something that we need to do. And at home we've been really strong this season. I don't think, aside from one game, we've dropped any points, and we've just been winning. So that's been really positive. And then for the men, it was a really good performance also against the Mariners side that was pretty sleepy, and we'll get into it a little bit later. But it's a nice feeling for once with both teams not only winning but also looking like there may actually be a genuine chance they make the finals.
Yep. No, good stuff. It was a good weekend for, I think, all of WA Sport. I think all of our teams.
Yeah, I think so.
Were there that played. And I think even, just to, not that we cover all the other sports, but I think there was a West Australian that won the national cycling titles, which were in town. And
wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, so it was all happening as far as the West Coast goes. I'm just going to carry on those sentiments. It was just nice to have, as a Perth Glory fan, just an easy win. It wasn't
stress-free.
It was stress-free. It was nice. Everyone could have a good time. I was up in the commentary box with Tommy Dolman for Sport FM, and it was just a good game to call. It was nice and simple, and it was 3-0. The only thing that I'd say is still those areas, just to be absolutely deadly with finishing. That could have been 5 at half-time and game done.
Should have been. But I've got a few points on that, but we can really touch on that a bit later.
We'll go a bit deeper in our next section. But it was just nice to have an easy win. Jaxon, what's been not so good?
Sticking with very recent stuff, the statement put out today by Josh Cavallo and the response from Adelaide. Allegations from Cavallo. I've got the post on Instagram here. Decisions were made by people in power that blocked my opportunities, not because of my talent. under the new management, it became clear that I wasn't allowed on the pitch because of politics. So relating to some he claimed the club was homophobic.
Yeah.
And there was also an instance as well where he spoke about it. There was a time when there was a group chat and some teammates made fun of a photo of him and his partner. So that was really unfortunate. Adelaide came out quite strong with their response and said that him not playing had nothing to do with that. It was all, related on football grounds. And just some of the responses on social media from people as well, instantly just dismissing the claims and just going back to the fact that he's playing at a lower level in England. I think it shows that we've still got a long way to go to make people in that community feel comfortable in Australian football. So that's a bit of a disappointing way to start the day, and I hope that there can be some positives that come out of that, but it's not looking good.
I kind of caught this, so refresh me. Where did he just come out with this on social media, or was this reported on in an interview?
No,
or
so this just came out. I think it was this morning, Australian time. I think. So
what stemmed this? Because it's seemingly he's gone over to the UK to try and start a newish kind of life, and
I thought there were rumours. I think last season when there was that chat about Ernest Faber and just the way that the politics were at Adelaide, and there were some things that were simmering. But yeah, it's probably a situation they don't completely have all the answers or facts to. But yeah, it just seems a disappointing one either way.
I guess the timing as well, because they've got the Pride Cup this weekend. Adelaide do against Victory, so I guess that might have also factored into it. Because I know Adelaide, pardon the pun, they do pride themselves on this game in particular and the work they're doing in that space.
Yeah, as I said, I probably don't know enough about it to be able to comment. As I said, it's the timing that kind of intrigues me.
Yeah.
Why now? Do you know what I mean? And I'm not going to suggest that we let sleeping dogs lie or anything else like that. If people have got issues, but seemingly, I thought that this was an issue that it had been resolved almost. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As within Adelaide United and the relationship between Adelaide United and Josh himself. I think you're always, unfortunately, we live in a world where you're always going to get one or two individuals, despite what the organisation tries to do, that might undermine their efforts as well. I think you're likely to get that.
It's probably a nuanced situation,
absolutely, it always is.
And people are probably being a little bit too absolutist and just jumping to a conclusion without probably considering everything, because there probably is multiple sides to it. But again, we just don't know enough publicly.
And unfortunately, when you come out on social media like this, and especially such a sensitive topic, and I'm not saying it should be a sensitive topic because it shouldn't be, and some of these, rock apes that keep banging on about this and leave the laughing emoji and stuff like that, it would be different if it was a family member of theirs. I feel it just creates more heat. Do you know what I mean? There's... Yeah,
I
think you're right though.
Yeah, because it's almost like what's the following action after him putting out that statement? Where do things go from there? I guess kind of. Because Adelaide they've rebuked it and they've gone they've refuted it and they've said no, that we categorically deny this, and so that possibly creates an unsavoury situation in itself.
Yeah, because there was other what I have read is that there was other situations where Josh was missing from a game and they actually said, they actually went into bat for him and said, look, he's got stuff on and things like that. So, look, I think at the end of the day, these situations, they all come back to one thing generally, and that is communication.
Yep.
It is the lack of communication is probably the world's biggest driver of issues and unnecessary issues at that. So I'm not saying this is an unnecessary issue, but I don't know.
It's disappointing for Adelaide.
No, it is, and it's a tough situation. I don't claim to try and know how Josh feels or what that's like. He's come out and he's had something to say, and I think we need to probably take that on face value, and then we need to take what Adelaide says on face value as well.
Yeah.
And but an interesting time. Where were we?
Bad.
Yep, go mate.
Ineos and how they've been running Manchester United. The past few weeks in particular.
Nothing wrong with it.
Well, I did say, Blayne, straight after your mob drew with ours, Ruben Amorim going. I was probably initially a little bit too excited because I was, a heavy skeptic of Amorim, but I think the timing is a little bit off, and their justification for sacking Amorim is pretty much because of a tiff between the coach and the sporting director over, or director of football, Jason Wilcox, over funding for January. And, it's kind of prompted this, I don't know if it's the right word, but this epistemological discussion within football. Epistemological about the role
I've never heard that word before in 42
it's like
years.
think of it like as almost like
You just made that up.
No. It's think of it like as a philosophical kind of question within football. That's a better descriptor.
Yeah, okay.
Philosophical in the sense of the role of sporting directors within football clubs. And if you're going to commit to a project, and you've got a sporting director that brings in a coach knowing that they have their vision and their ideas, but they don't have the courage of their convictions to see it out once it starts getting a little bit testy. And for whatever people thought of Amorim as a coach and his record and what he was wanting to do with the team, the fact that United are now in a position where they've completely botched the squad building, only giving Amorim 14 months. Is it really that attractive for both players and or coaches to want to actually come to the club under this current regime that seemingly are quite two-faced? I just think it particularly given with also some other coaches losing their jobs in somewhat similar circumstances with, Enzo Maresca at Chelsea. We saw it with Wilfred Nancy at Celtic to an extent. And then we've just seen very recently Xabi Alonso leave Real Madrid, and there were suggestions that he wanted to leave actually quite early on in the piece.
Yeah, right.
So, it's certainly a debate in terms of the direction in which football is going.
Yeah, yeah. What's drive? Is it just people in leadership positions that have no idea about?
Well, Wilcox said that he is a coach at heart, and that in a live forum to, I think it was Man United fans or a group of people either way, and he said he's a coach at heart, and he often finds himself getting involved too often in managerial discussions or decisions. And his prior experience up to that point was at an academy level at Manchester City and as director of football for 9 months at Southampton. And it just, again, raises questions about, some sporting directors or just the way that we want to structure football as a whole and as a club. And if you have a manager's vision, you've got to be able to have the courage of your convictions to see it out, particularly if you appoint them on a long-term deal or if things are getting tough. So, once again, I think it's a discussion for, the long term of where the game's going.
It's strange, isn't it? Because and this isn't just a football thing. I think it happens across the board. But you hire someone to do a job, Jaxon. Let them do their job. Do you know what I mean? And if they're not doing their job, then we start to see changes.
Yeah.
But ultimately, when it comes to signing players,
Wilcox signed Amorim, being a guy that liked the 4-3-3. I mean, I'm going to be really crude here. He likes the 4-3-3 formation, but he signed Amorim as the head coach, knowing that this guy only played a 3-4-3, and then at some points was like, no, I want you to change what you're doing, and I want you to do this now. Yeah. So it's a walking contradiction, and I think it'll be very interesting to see what comes out over the coming months.
My bad. I'm not sure if it's a bad or it's just a very, very interesting thing at the moment. The results haven't been great, but the scenario around the under-23s at the Asian Cup at the moment, do clubs release these players? Do they not release these players?
FIFA window, that's been a big point of discussion as well.
Yeah. It's an interesting one. I know Arthur Dillis was quite strong in coming out and saying, look, it's not our role at Melbourne Victory to deny someone from playing for their national team. That's a very, very Australian point of view to look at the whole club v country debate. Had it been in Europe, and you see it all the time, and I mentioned this last night, you see it all the time with the African Cup of Nations. Why the hell are we releasing this bloke to the African Cup of Nations? Well, the basic answer to that is you have to under FIFA statutes. But, this is an interesting scenario. Some clubs have been probably hamstrung more than others. Adelaide United comes to mind. Perth, I think, has lost Rebecca Dunmi, Nathaniel Blair, who's left anyway.
We said no to Reece Bozanowski going.
Okay, so there's another one. Really interesting. Really interesting.
Probably raises the broader point about should we only look to have international competitions within a FIFA window? Because I know AFCON.
How can you do? You can't really do that because it's a month-long Asian Cup.
Yeah, but also with let's say
weeks.
with AFCON as well, it just feels a little bit jarring within the football calendar when you've got most, or I don't want to say most, but a lot of major international tournaments, be it UEFA based or AFC based, that tend to occur, outside of the regular football season itself, and in that June period.
As I said again last night, it was. I think it needs to be. It needs to be an all or nothing. Either if you're selected, you have to go.
Yep.
Or clubs can basically veto any player going. It shouldn't be up to clubs themselves to you know what I mean?
Yeah, there should be ideally a relationship where they both understand each other's needs and what's better for the game moving forward.
Interesting one. As I said, it's not necessarily bad. The results haven't been great. Of course, a win over Thailand and then a loss to China. Possibly should have been a draw, but is what that is. Ugly, Jackson?
My ugly was everything that's going on at Manchester United. And for those people who didn't
it's not ugly, it's beautiful. It's beautiful, Jackson.
I hope you guys get relegated.
Depends which chair you're sitting on. I think for us too, for the younger heads on this side, it's definitely not a great period of time.
Mm.
I think James alluded to it before, but the manner in which Amram has left reflects a lot worse on the likes of Wilcox and Jim Ratcliffe and the Glazers and all that. And I think for Manchester United, the ultimate goal in the long run is to get back to a point at challenging for titles. And for that to happen, there needs to be patience, and you also need everyone to be pulling in the same direction and being on the same page. And I think, like you said, just doing their jobs and not interfering too much and avoiding some of those clashes. But everyone needs to be pulling in the same direction. People just need to get in the room and say, this is the plan, this is what we want to achieve, and just pull in that right direction and go from there. But the whole 16 months, 14 months thing.
There's two things that comes immediately to mind. And the first thing that you said was people of your generation, Manchester United fans of your generation, haven't seen any tough times. First and foremost.
Yeah,
in relative terms.
Yeah, but tough. It's not a one size fits all. To be fair, what one team defines as tough, what one group of fans defines as tough compared to
you
another.
Guys, as long as you've been alive, James,
yes,
you guys have been in the window of winning trophies. There's no denying. There's no denying that.
No, there's no denying it. But again, there's the generalizability issue in terms of what tough means in the sense of fan support, because obviously for Leeds it would be the context of being in the championship or even lower.
Yeah, but I remember
that.
Manchester United in the 80s when they were pretty rubbish.
Yeah.
So
well, who's to say that we won't be rubbish for the next 10 years?
I mean, they didn't win bugger all between 68 and 93.
We've not won a Premier League title since 2013, a Champions League since 2008. So I think right now, relative.
But you've been in the window.
Not really. Not credibly since 2013.
Yeah.
But it's a.
The other side of that is you're missing big figureheads that you once had there, the likes of Sir Alex Ferguson, who wouldn't no kind of board within their own right mind, or the CEO in their right mind would have gone toe to toe with him because it was just a hard no.
Yeah, but we've been pretending to run as a big club the last few years, and particularly since Ineos have come over, because they've ran under the guise of best in class, and yet they've brought in guys where there are huge questions over their competency and their credibility and their qualifications for the role. Barada's never been a CEO, Wilcox has never been a director of football, and Sir Jim Ratcliffe, he might have been successful in other sporting fields, but in football, Nice are a disaster, his club in Switzerland are crap, and United have gone to shit since he's taken over. So, apple doesn't fall very far from the tree.
Yeah, long may it continue as far as I'm concerned. Keep us going.
Fold. Bastards. Well, I probably shouldn't have said fold because it's the Central Coast Mariners in their situation.
Yeah.
That's quite ugly. Look, if I'm not wrong, didn't Stephen Conroy and co say that they didn't want to see another situation like it happened with Glory, where the APL had to run clubs because it just wasn't financially sustainable?
Yeah.
Words to that effect. I'm concerned for the people of Gosford and their club and what the future is moving forward. I think there was a photo that came out of the academy or the liquidation notice
Yep.
or whatever. So that's concerning. They had some transfer plans that have fallen through, and obviously, being Glory fans, we can sympathise very specifically to their situation because we were in it not that long ago.
Yeah.
So, look, I'm hoping for a quick resolution. I'm hoping that a process can be done where owners, be it domestic or internationally based, there's a rigorous process, and some people can be found that can ideally give that club, more than just fighting for survival and having that cycle where 1 minute they're great and then they're crap for 5 years, and then they're great and then they're crap for 5 years, and there's no consistency. So, yeah, I hope that things can turn out well for them.
The only, I guess the silver lining to that was, and it might just be my interpretation, but in every media release or article that I read, it sounded like there was something in the works. I got that impression, like that maybe that there'd been an owner lined up and there was just a bit of a gap in between getting this new owner on board and the old owner, or something to that effect. It sounded like there was, especially the Central Coast Mariners one. If you're going to have a look at the copy that's written for the headlines of that, it sounds like it's more of a temporary thing rather than an indefinite thing.
Yeah, well, hopefully it stays that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do hope so too. I think what you're talking about the being a bit more consistent with form, I think they're the club that it's probably the most difficult for them too, because as soon as they have that period of success, then opportunities come up elsewhere and they're out the door. So I think for them, I think for their club model, it is kind of like that. They can have a year or two of good times, and then all of a sudden everyone's gone, and then they're back to...
But that's the thing, is it something that they as a fan base, let's say the Central Coast Mariners fans, are content with as their club identity, where they might have that small 2 to 3 window of success, but have 10 years of, let's be frank, pain. Because prior to them having that success under Nick Montgomery and Mark Jackson, they were a rabble. Wooden spoon after wooden spoon, conceding goals, having poor crowds, a bad image for the league. Is that what we should be striving for in Australian football, where we have clubs that are just content with small bursts of success rather than having sustained success? And I know that it's easier for some clubs to have than others, but if we want to grow and evolve as a footballing country and be considered a credible league, in Asia, for example, I think we need to have bigger and bolder ideas while also being somewhat realistic and pragmatic and finding that balance.
I'm going to go back to a point that I always make when clubs are in this situation. If there had been a national second division, it's not A-League or bust, because you can have them drop back and,
reset,
minimise overheads, everything else like that, and make them more attractive to an owner.
Something for Steve Rosic and co to think about.
Yeah. That's the scenario. It could have been Perth Glory. It's either A-League or bust. Newcastle Jets, A-League or bust. It's not.
Definitely.
There's no mechanic there to give clubs a safety net. People talk about relegation as being all doom and gloom. I don't feel like that. We should be looking at it that way. It is literally an opportunity for clubs to reset and other clubs to get the opportunity. As I said, we're a long way off promotion and relegation and a national second division, but that should be the objective. Absolutely, that's what it offers.
Yeah, let's just try and keep the clubs alive that we've got already.
We can't, because we already bitch enough about not having enough teams in this league, so we need to keep them all.
Yep. No, I'd certainly agree on that side as well. It might ugly, and we've spoken about this, but just the ongoing geopolitical and domestic situation in the US ahead of the World Cup. It doesn't seem to be getting any. It doesn't seem to be getting any better. We had an FSAA meeting last night, and there was concerns expressed by people who are going.
People are going?
Well, apparently so.
Some people are paying that $6,000 premium.
Well, I saw something.
See you later.
I saw something the other day that was a hospitality package for Scotland, Brazil at £41,000.
Yeah, forget about it.
So,
I mean, look, I can't.
But I'm not just talking about ticketing. I'm talking about fan safety. I'm talking about freedom of movement. I'm talking about civil liberties as far as...
This goes way beyond ticket prices and affordability. Yes. This is about, making sure that if fans go, they're not going to be caught up in any drama or...
Socceroos beat United States, all the Socceroos fans are deported.
Yeah. Oh. It's just and it's just getting uglier by the day. We've got this bullshit FIFA Peace Prize about a guy who's just about to storm a NATO ally. It just doesn't make any sense about what's going on about this. I think it is concerning.
Yep.
I don't think anything will happen during the World Cup. I think that'll be a little bit of a.
And now that you've said that, something's going to happen. So tune in.
Yeah, tune in. Give us plenty of talking points, would it? But
Exactly.
no, it is concerning. People said, "Oh, what about Qatar?" Well, Qatar was a little bit different because many of us had principles. Like I said from the outset, there's no way I'm going near Qatar after all of the deaths in building the stadiums and that side of it on morality alone. I said no, I'm not going to take them. But this is like literally a safety concerns on the streets of American cities at the moment.
It's a problem.
So that's where the concern comes in. And then of course you've got things like you've got participating countries that aren't going to let their supporters come and support. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just it doesn't make any sense. And FIFA should be stronger on this. I think they've been very, very weak and submissive.
Well,
it is FIFA. Don't get me wrong.
I was going to say that. Yeah.
Well, you look at how things are now, and just imagine when you've got I don't know how many thousands or millions of people are going to be coming into the US for the World Cup. Like that's just a whole nother headache.
Yeah.
That. Too much to think about.
Yeah, they're just obviously there's the spectacle of the World Cup itself, but I'll be intrigued to see what people who end up going make of the experience itself, be it at the games or just when they're in different parts of America itself.
I think majority of it will be fine.
Yeah, I'd imagine so as well.
Majority of it will be fine, but there will be incidents where some people will be targeted, some people won't be targeted. Just things like that. That concerns me. That's not what a World Cup's about. We've got to remember the whole idea about and the concept of a World Cup is about bringing people together, about a celebration of football, a celebration of life, and pretty much treating everyone pretty decently. Do you know what I mean? It's polar opposites to what the host is, what's going on in America as the host nation, as one of the host nations, and what FIFA and the football community actually wants and stands for. So that's where it's become a little bit ugly. But anyway, that's enough of my soapbox. We're going to take a very, very quick break. We'll be back on the other side. We'll get into the nitty-gritty of the latest Glory results.
Tired of the same old cookie-cutter home designs? Dreaming of a space that truly reflects you? Then it's time to talk to the team at Trio Homes. Whether you're looking to build your dream home, redesign your current space, or simply renovate, Trio Homes is committed to unique designs, local personalised service and quality workmanship. And with former Perth Glory star Dino Julbich at the helm, you'll know you're getting passion and dedication built into every project. Discover the difference with Trio Homes. Visit triohomes.com.au.
What a run! This could be the one! It's in! That's what it's all about! And when it comes to sports gear that helps you perform your best, ID Athletic has the winning formula. From grassroots clubs to elite athletes, ID Athletic provides high-quality sporting apparel, screen printing, embroidery, and made-to-order promotional products. Proud sponsors of the Far Post Perth and passionate supporters of WA community sport. Visit ID Athletic at 84 Howe Street, Osborne Park, or online at idathletic.com. ID Athletic. Build your identity.
Welcome back to the Far Post Perth podcast. Big thanks to ID Athletic. Don't forget to download the latest football catalogue, idathletic.com. And Trio Homes, big thanks and a happy new year to Dino Julbich and the team. If you're looking to build, redesign or renovate, triohomes.com.au. Gents, we took a little bit of time off over Christmas and New Year's. We saw some interesting results. I think the last time we spoke, they'd just come off the 1-0 loss to Sydney FC. Following that week, there was another disappointing loss to Adelaide United. Then there was the win over Melbourne City, who we managed to watch a little bit of crowding around a phone in a bar when we had a little bit
Thanks,
of a
Jackson.
That was a great day.
a little bit of a Christmas celebration.
Oh boy!
And then we saw the loss to a Melbourne victory. But I guess all in all, there was some disappointing results. I think I was pretty disappointed after the Melbourne victory game, just the way that kind of petted out pretty poorly. I thought we were probably should have been a little bit better there. But also, I think two results that may come back to bite us is the 1-0 against Sydney FC and the 1-0 against Adelaide, particularly at home, James.
Look, I think, and we'll touch on it with the Mariners game, but, if we go back to Griff when he was, in that initial phase of being the interim, he was saying that he wanted to be a possession-oriented coach. And I think in those Sydney and Adelaide games itself, it was a very similar story because Glory had lots of the ball but couldn't do anything with it. It was just cross, no real threat generated. It's part of our evolution that we've got to learn how to be a side that can keep possession and be impactful when we have possession, because we've looked great in transition moments. Melbourne City, we were fantastic with our defensive organisation and then transitioning and exploiting the space in behind Melbourne City, where we scored 3 goals and looked quite good, especially in the first 30 minutes or so. But, we'll eventually touch on it with the Mariners game, but it's very clear that this team has some evolution that it has undertaken over the past, few weeks. Griff has shown a real, I would say, acumen of how we can play away from home, how we can be fairly defensively solid and then transition quite well. And that could be a model of play that works in the finals. But at home, I think hopefully the Mariners game is a starting point for what we are on the ball moving forward.
Jaxon, it feels like the players are starting to get used to each other a hell of a lot more. There's a lot more cohesion. There's a lot more combinations that are just starting to sort themselves out. There's a great one on the weekend, and we'll dig a little bit more into it down that right side between, Shamoon and Osler, who had some great little combos. They sent the ball out wide. They stretched that midfield. They just played neat little 1-2s. It was really, really simple football.
Yeah, well, for the first goal, the run that Shamoon made and then the pass that Osler was able to slip through to him was absolutely brilliant. And yeah, throughout the whole game, it was the most complete performance and the most dominant performance we've seen from a Glory team in a while. I couldn't tell you the last time we had a game where we had over 20 shots, 9 on target, 88% passing. That was something that at the beginning of the season, we were giving the ball away for fun. That's really been tightened up. And the thing that I took out of it the most was in the press conference, actually, about 30 seconds in, and this is the exact thing that I and all Glory fans want to hear, and because Griffiths got posed about how complete and good the performance was, and his response, today was a good performance, but it's not enough. And I think that attitude is music to everyone's ears, because it could have been 4 or 5. There are definitely a few missed chances in there.
It could have been 4 or 5 by half time.
Yeah,
perfectly honest.
Exactly. And as good as it was, the Mariners are down towards the bottom, and we're going to face stiffer opposition. So we do need to be better. But I do agree that it's a good building point, and we can definitely see the evolution of what Griffiths wants to do and achieve and all that.
It's good that you mentioned stats, because this was for me the biggest stat takeaway. So when we had played the Mariners earlier this season, we had 37 crosses. When we played the Mariners on Saturday, we had 13. I couldn't recall many instances at all where we were trying to cross the ball from the touchline into the box. Instead, what we've seen is Glory combine better in deeper positions, and also there's been far more cutbacks, and we've been far more incisive and quicker on the ball. So, it's been really clear to see that when the Glory and they have possession, sometimes they're a little bit slow, but when they can go quick, they're devastating, and a large reason why they've gone to another level is Tom Lawrence.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's an obvious point, but he's just gone to another level.
Yeah.
These past few weeks, and against the Mariners, he was almost taking the piss at points with just how much space Central Coast were giving him, and then he was like, "All right, I'm going to exploit you guys." Then,
but we saw that throughout the evening. Was just the players just sitting in between the Central Coast Mariners lines and not getting picked up. There was no one dropping. There was no one coming to. And it happened all night, because as soon as Amos came on,
it was the same thing.
It was exactly the same. But yeah, one thing that we noticed on the broadcast as well was how quick they moved that ball, particularly in that first 20 minutes. They caught Central Coast absolutely napping. Now, we know that Adam Taggart prefers the ball to be delivered like that, because we know that when he isolates a centre half, he wins most of his battles, but you've got to get him there, isolate that centre half. He can't, as soon as he starts to get double teamed, he generally loses out just due to lack of weight of numbers, but it was certainly something that we picked up on was moving the ball quickly and decisively with intent.
Well, and that's probably the another point of our evolution, in that there was a bit more of I guess synergy with how we moved, and we moved with purpose, and we looked to stretch the Mariners when we could, and look to, because I really love the combination, because we alluded to it a little bit earlier about the combination between Shamoon and Osler.
Yeah.
And it was simplicity. And Griff is often talked about, we want to have simple messaging and give clarity to the players in terms of what we want, in those key moments of the game. And something as simple as two-touch football, 1-2s between Shamoon and Osler, and that kind of principle was what led to Pennington's goal. It was pretty much two-touch football the whole way around, and it was a really well-constructed goal. And we had different modes of attacking. I thought, because for as much as we were good from open play, I thought from set pieces we were always a threat, which is something that we haven't really said from Glory teams.
Well, what was interesting too is that we were outnumbered in the midfield too, and I wanted to raise Reece Bozanovsky, who I think's been Glory's best throughout the season, Jaxon, but Will Freeney goes out with a hip complaint. Giovanni Diabru comes straight in, and the tenacity that he has shown as a second gamer with his first start on the weekend. We saw that first bit, that big tackle on Ben Garuccio a couple of weeks ago.
Piraeus.
Piraeus, sorry, not Garuccio, Piraeus, sorry. And then he was just throwing his weight around like he'd been playing for. It looked like he'd been playing for 100 games at least.
Yeah, it's amazing that there's not a spot on. There's like a 30 however man squad, and there's no space for him on the list. But yeah, he was superb, and I think the great thing about him and Bozanovsky is that they're proper box to boxes. They will do the dirty work, but they're equally comfortable on the ball and wanting to drive forward and run at people. Because there was an instance in the second half where Diabra got it in the middle, went past one, kind of bodied another, nutmegged someone else and won the foul. Like, that's exactly what you want to see from your midfielders. That they can take the initiative when they want to, but when the time's right, they can pick a pass and make the right decision with the ball. And yeah, he looks so comfortable at this level, and that's something that I wasn't expecting, to be honest, from him. At this point.
I mean, he has shown glimpses of that at NPL level. For anyone who's watched NPL level himself, and great to see Taddy Kazamba get a bit of a look as well on the weekend. Yeah. He's another guy who, if you watch the NPL Perth Glory side, these two are standouts alongside Will Freeney, who's of course got his opportunity a little bit earlier. And we'll go into this a little bit more because it might be a nice little segue into a look at the squad. We got players returning. You had Amos come in on the weekend. You've still got Despotovsky to come back. Kaczarski mustn't be too far away. Sam Sutton's rejoined a couple of weeks ago. Who else have we got?
They're Lockie Wales?
Lockie Wales to come back. I think he's still a little bit away. But Adam Griffiths was asked this in the post game. How do you fiddle this in? He goes, well, it's just going to be a competition for spots. If you train well and you train hard, then you're going to get the spots. So, look, that's a great headache to have.
Thought it should be when you have a squad that big.
Yeah, just to have the options.
Yeah, and that's the exciting thing. We're showing signs of growth as a team without everyone there.
Well, I think
that's a big thing for me.
I think people are going to bang on about Auckland and Sydney FC because they're sitting up the top, but I think it's actually Perth and Newcastle that are starting to hit their straps at the right time. Newcastle's coming off 4. We'll talk about them as well. Coming off 4 away games on the bounce, and Perth's. I mean, the turnaround from the start of the season it's chalk and cheese.
It's all about that consistency. I think that's something that Griffiths has also alluded to. The teams that are going to be the most consistent with their performances across the year are going to be the teams that finish top of the table. And speaking of the away form, I did have a look at the ladder, and it seems to be that the teams that are the best away from home are the teams that are towards the top end of the table. So if Newcastle are winning away and we're winning away, then that's a good sign already.
And that's I guess that's what makes those results against Sydney FC and Adelaide just a little bit harder to swallow, because they were losses. I mean, you get points in those 2 games. You're in the window for that 6, but you're pushing for that 4. I
think we're still in the window, though. We're only 3 points away.
But considering how tight the ladder is, you are in that window. I think the window's, if we want to talk about it in abstract kind of terms, I think the window's reachable, but you're in that window.
We weren't ready yet.
Yeah.
I think to be quote unquote that team.
Yeah.
Because if Glory from this past week was to have those same games again against Sydney and Adelaide, I think our approach would be far different, and I think it'd be likely to suggest there'd be a different outcome.
Yep. Boys, I wanted to have a look because the window opened this week, the transfer window for the A-League, and I want to go through I want to go through the list very, very quickly. I want you to tell me if you think these players will be here next year. So I'm going to give you all of the 2026 expiries, or whether they're here next year or whether they go this year, be it through mutual terminations or through just not renewing contracts. So Mark Birigitti's here until 2027. Don't worry about that. Cameron Cook, does he remain?
I love Cookie. I don't think he gets an opportunity moving forward.
We got Matt Sutton, who we understand still kind of negotiations are still going on around that. This is an interesting one. Josh Risdon, is he here next year?
Yeah, I think so. I think they keep him on.
I don't think he is.
No, because I think Griff was asked about this in the press conference, and it was, why is he not there? Well, is he injured? No, he just wasn't selected. So I think it's just the evolution of the squad.
Shamoon is contracted till 2027. Who else we got there? Sam Sutton, 28. Caltech, 27. Wooten, 27. Kalen Majeka-Dunmi, is he here next year?
No, and he needs to get some game time.
Oh, I'd love to stay, but again, there's no room for him with Wood and Caltech there, so it's probably best for him to go look for a move elsewhere and get some game time.
Another very, very interesting one. Adriana Labib, is he here next year?
Doubt it. He's a good player, but again, I just wonder where his opportunities are going to come from.
So that doesn't leave anyone at centre half, a backup for centre half.
No, you got Hayden.
If those two go,
well, you got
Hayden Fox.
Sorry, Riley Fox.
Sorry,
and you got
sorry, that is one I missed there.
And is that Lizalowski can fill that role? So look,
does Lizalowski stay?
I think so.
You think he does? He's not on my list. I'm going to have to get this updated.
He could be the backup for left back as well.
He's multifunctional, so I think
but he hasn't even got a look in this season except on the weekend
because he did his hamstring.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, because he was with the I think the 23s with the what did they have in Chile a few months ago?
Was that the under 20s?
I think
20s.
I think it was 20s. Yeah, I'm happy to be corrected, but yeah, he did his hamstring then.
All right, Trent Ostler is contracted to 27 according to this. Nico Pennington, is he here next year? For me, he has to be.
Yeah, I'd keep him.
I think he's been our best. I think over last year and this year, I think he's been one of our best.
I think it depends in terms of which of the midfielders, as in Bozanovsky, Freeney, if they stay here and don't go to Europe. I think it depends for me.
Gamulka.
Gone.
Yeah, he's got to be gone.
O'Neill.
Gone.
Yeah, I think he's gone too.
Callum Timmins is contracted to 28. Reece Bozanovsky is contracted to 27. Is Luke Amos here next year? I don't think he is.
Depends how this year goes.
Look, for me, really you've got to consider the visa spot situation.
Yeah,
heading into what could potentially be a hard cap season. And I think you've got to weigh up where you want to use your visa spots. And if a visa spot is really needed in the harder centre midfield, and you've got so many good young players there, could it be better used in the attack? So that's
Will Freeney
stay.
Yep, stay.
Yeah, I'd like him to stay.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
The only way he's going is if someone else picks him up.
Yeah. He is from that Macarthur region, New South Wales. He
won't be going back.
No, okay, all right. One to watch. Lockie Wales. Is he here next year?
I guess it depends on how fit he can keep himself. Because I think there's no doubt that he can be one of Glory's most potent attackers. But if you're not on the pitch, then that's an unfortunate thing for him. So I can't give an answer. No,
that's okay. Adam Taggart.
Hopefully Taggart stays.
Well, he's out of contract.
Yeah,
2026.
Well, it's going to be a question for Glory to have a discussion eventually about in terms of the striker for the next few years, because Taggart is slowly coming towards 31. The end. No, he's turning 33. I thought.
Is he 33? Is he?
I'm happy to be
I'm
corrected.
going to have words to Neil Sherwin about updating this list.
He is turning 33 in June.
Okay.
At least with Tate, you've got Kucharski and Despotovsky who are waiting in the wings, ready to.
JK is the most likely to be the next striker, but then it's like, is either one, or do you want to go with someone senior?
Yeah.
Do you use a visa spot or another Aussie? It's a question.
I think Jaden Kucharski is a second striker for me at this stage.
You're not quite
if
sure.
you had to play one up front, you don't play Kucharski. I just don't.
I think he's
I like the kid, but I don't think that one-off centre forward back to goal role suits him. I think he's just going to get monstered.
Hasn't got that profile.
Well, he's more mobile. He's more of a second striker. So
Yep. He is contracted to 27, by the way. Tom Lawrence, is he here next year?
So get him the contract now.
Yeah.
Put it on the table and get him to sign it right now.
I'll sign it for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would imagine so. He's been incredible, but it's it's not to sound dismissive, but it's what we expect.
Yep. Suleimani is contracted to 2027. Kwang Go is on this list, but of course he has been loaned. I don't think he gets a contract next year.
Yeah. I don't think so either.
No.
I think he's got a lot of potential, but I think, he probably needs to spread his wings beyond Perth Glory.
Yeah. No, I agree. Nathaniel Blair has gone. Adam Bulgaria, is 2027. Joel Anasmo, I think he goes.
Similar boat to Kwa.
Yeah. Despotovsky is contracted to 2027 on a scholarship, and Oliver Evans until 2027. Who have I missed? I'm sure I've missed someone else. Of course, there is the elephant in the room of Steph Kolikovsky coming into the side.
Yeah,
that's true.
That should be announced very shortly.
Gabi Popovic.
I don't think he hangs.
You would assume Diabru's going to be going to do it next year.
Yeah.
Gabriel Popovic is only here on loan, isn't he, from Catania?
No, he's here on a short-term deal.
So they've released him?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. All right. I wasn't sure if it was a loan deal.
Yeah.
All right. So watch your space. There you go. A little bit of a look at the contracts and what that looks like.
It does make things quite interesting in terms of next season, in terms of what the squad composition is going to look like, I think, moving forward, if the hard cap does get implemented and, how much wiggle room we have within the cap itself. It
is interesting, though. I mean, you look at, and I just want to go back to Majekadumi and Labib. But I mean, is bringing in someone like Riley? Is Riley Fox a better player than Labib and Majekadumi?
We can't say for certain because we've not seen him play. I think he played like a trial game for Glory over in Sydney, but in terms of actual games where he played like 45 plus minutes or whatever, we can't make any determination at this point. Any
other rumours of incomings, outgoings? James, you sit outside Stan Lazaridis' house and
not that I'm aware of at this moment in time. I think that the focus will be trimming down the squad because it
has to be.
Yeah, it's too big, and you can't be carrying a 30+ squad long term, I think.
Yep.
So.
All right, all good. Let's just before we go into the break, we'll have a bit of a look at the results from across the weekend. It was round 12 of the A-League. 2-0 result for Auckland over Brisbane. Pretty stock standard, boys, you think?
Brisbane was shithouse.
Brisbane, the wheels fallen off yet, or not quite?
I think D'Agostino, who is likely to head there, will help things a little bit. But I think going forward, I mean, Valkana should drop the whole, Alexander the Great shit.
Everyone's out to get me.
And focus on helping your team score more goals. Otherwise, they might miss a spot in the finals.
I missed this one. I was doing my prep work for the evening, but Wanderers over Melbourne victory 1-0, Jackson.
Yeah, just I think it was the penalty.
Yep.
Victory just weren't able to break them down.
Yep.
Yeah, Western Sydney needed that.
It's a bit of a stay of execution for Stad.
Can anyone make any sense of MacArthur?
Fold.
They're one team that I just can't make any sense of. They'll come out and they'll have a brilliant result, and then they'll come out this week.
Mile Stojovski did have a bit of a go at the broadcasters in his post-game presser about the kickoff time because of just how hot it was.
Well, it was ridiculous because didn't it get moved and it was still like 40 degrees at kickoff or something like that?
I'm not sure. And
that's ridiculous for players and fans.
Yeah.
It's dumb. You're devaluing the product. It's surely you can come to some sort of agreement like we're going to change the day or something. So
they're both Sydney-based teams. Why not just push it to Sunday? Do you know what I mean? Like it's
could
literally as easy as that.
Broadcasters should be doing that. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Unfortunately, they hold a lot more sway than maybe what some would like. Of course, Perth beat Central Coast 3-0. Wellington to Adelaide. Adelaide shat the bed with this.
Yeah, I think the wheels are
2-0 off at half time.
Wheels are falling off.
Yep.
But look, obviously they're missing players either through injury or through the Asian Cup. But defensively, they are exceptionally vulnerable at this point in time.
Yeah, I don't think they're much chop. And going back, that's another reason why I thought
that was a bad one. To drop that game.
Yeah. What else did we have? Newcastle box office Jets Jackson over Melbourne City. Melbourne City got Auckland this week. This is a litmus test for them. This is to prove whether they are the real deal, I feel. What are you making of City at the moment?
They're in an awkward spot. They've played 13, won 4, drawn 5, lost 4. It's hard to get a read on them. Because
it is. And the Asian, they're playing in Asia as well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they've only scored 12 goals for the season. So that attacking firepower they've got just seems to be
I think their recruitment's been pretty poor, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they're missing some players through injury, but you know they're the champions and they've got to balance not just the A-League but the Asian Champions League as well. And I think their performances and results have suffered because of that. I mean, is it one win in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games? So it's a bit of an issue for them. If they don't get their act together, there's probably a chance where they might miss the finals. Yeah,
interesting times. We'll take a quick break. We'll get set to wrap things up. You're on the Far Post Perth podcast.
Tired of the same old cookie-cutter home designs? Dreaming of a space that truly reflects you? Then it's time to talk to the team at Trio Homes. Whether you're looking to build your dream home, redesign your current space, or simply renovate, Trio Homes is committed to unique designs, local personalised service and quality workmanship. And with former Perth Glory star Dino Julbich at the helm, you'll know you're getting passion and dedication built into every project. Discover the difference with Trio Homes. Visit triohomes.com.au.
What a run! This could be the one! It's in! That's what it's all about! And when it comes to sports gear that helps you perform your best, ID Athletic has the winning formula. From grassroots clubs to elite athletes, ID Athletic provides high-quality sporting apparel, screen printing, embroidery, and made-to-order promotional products. Proud sponsors of the Far Post Perth and passionate supporters of WA community sport. Visit ID Athletic at 84 Howe Street, Osborne Park, or online at idathletic.com. ID Athletic. Build your identity.
Final part of the Far Post Perth podcast. Jackson, you keep a very, very close eye on what's happening down there for the Perth Glory women. Stephen Peters has got this side humming at the moment, particularly at home. 4 straight wins on the bounce.
Yeah, well, like the men's team, it was probably the most convincing one of the lot.
Yep.
Previous 3 at home. Feel like they'd scored and they were kind of hanging on.
1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 3-0. 3-1, sorry. Yep.
Yeah, a lot more convincing this game. First half especially.
Some great goals scored, by the way.
Yep.
Yeah, they're pretty much all outside the box. The free kick right before halftime.
She's having a great season. I think she's nailed on for MGP this year.
Or Teresa Morrissey might have something to say about that. She has been superb in goal.
Yeah.
And definitely played a big part in the second half when Wanderers were able to...
Goalkeepers don't win it, though. Defenders don't win it.
Yeah, the way she's been playing, though, she's been an integral
saving
part.
houses.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. But yeah, they were really impressive, and I think for them to have one clawed back with 15 minutes to go, to be able to steady and get the third through Ella Lincoln, real sign of maturity and how much this team is progressing. And
didn't have rollercoaster either, so that's a pretty big credit to them. So
well, I think what they've got at the moment is they've got multiple players who can either start or they can come off the bench and impact the game.
Yep.
And that's something that we've lamented about the men's side, but now we've got a case where you look at the bench and you think, oh wow, like look who's coming on and it can impact the game, and that's what the women have got, and hopefully it can continue because they've got a few more games. I think they've got a couple more games at home this month, and they can
Central Coast away this week.
That's a blockbuster, that one.
Yeah,
and then two at home following that, so they can establish themselves in the top 4.
Yep.
But that away form, for me, if they don't fix that up, then they're probably going to be on the fringes of the 6.
Yeah, it's pretty smelly, that one. Yeah, 1 win and 5.
Let's have a bit of a look at the A-League men's this weekend. It is around 13. It all kicks off on Friday night. As mentioned, Melbourne City will host Auckland. Big game for Melbourne City. Big game for Auckland because they need to try and keep up with Sydney FC, who are got a game in hand, I think. So
2.
2 games in hand.
Well, they've played 11, so got a fair few to catch up on.
Oh, there you go.
Yep.
I'll say draw for this one because City's saving grace has been their defence.
Yep.
So I think that might get them at least a point.
Draw.
I think Auckland's just going to be far too strong. Boys, Perth v Brisbane. Tip, but what's the key to this one?
You're playing against a team that's going to have their backs up because they've lost their last 3, haven't scored in their last 3. So I think the key, most likely, if we do get a good crowd, which is possible, with a free ticket promo that Football West and Glory are doing as well.
I think that section of tickets is pretty much sold out.
I think I think you've got to win the game the first 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. I mean, you've got to go for the kill and you can't be sloppy in front of goal.
Yeah, I think it's just about not getting dragged into Brisbane's bullshit.
Yep.
Like if we start the same way that we started against Central Coast and do that, I think Brisbane gets frustrated and they get players kind
sent
of
off.
grouchy, sent off.
Yeah.
Michael Valkanis kind of throws.
I hope he gets
toys.
sent to the stands.
And this is where the crowd plays a big role in rolling up some players too. So I think it's going to be a bit of a grudge match.
I hope this will be a game where it's no excuses, and if we want to be considered serious finals material,
100%,
it's a must-win game at home.
Yep.
And Griff was basically saying after the game against the Mariners, this win will mean nothing if we don't back it up.
Oh,
so
100% right. Yeah, no, he's
got to do it. Got to do it.
Yeah, Perth for you, Jaxon.
Yeah, I'll say us. I do agree with James, though, that the start of the game is clearly where it won or lost.
Yep.
Because if Brisbane get an early goal and get into the lead, then I feel like we could have the other situation where they sit back and they frustrate us, and then we play into their hands a little bit. But if we can get off to a strong start, dominate the ball, then I think that'll set us up nicely going into the second half.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a really interesting fixture. I'm very much looking forward to it. I'll be in the comms box again. Western Sydney v Newcastle. I think Newcastle's got this one.
Yeah, I'll keep backing in the Jets.
Yeah,
I don't think the Wanderers. I don't think the Wanderers back up their win.
And I just think, are we? I love Stads, but are we prolonging the inevitable?
Yeah,
because it's not. I know it's not all down to him, but I just think
it does feel like that.
That club though. I mean, they going into the weekend, the men's team was last, the women's team was last, and it's just something stinks.
But it's stunk. But it's stunk for years though. Ever since Popper's left, it's been a 24/7 with servo with fucking managers coming in and out, players coming in and out, bust ups happening. So pitching to see what happens.
Central Coast MacArthur.
Got to be MacArthur.
Yeah,
Bulls.
By a big margin. I mean, could be a big margin too.
Yeah, okay. It doesn't go the other way. You don't think that considering what's happening behind the scenes, they really galvanise, they dig in and have a crack?
Mitch Duke says otherwise. I think if he's available for this game, would that be right with the transfer window opening?
Yeah. So it opens 13th. So this Monday just gone yesterday.
Yep. So
this time of recording. Yep.
I think it could be panic stations for the Mariners.
Adelaide, Melbourne victory. I think Melbourne victory punish Adelaide. I think they're in strife.
Yeah, I think victory would be keen to bounce back from a very disappointing performance.
Yep,
victory for me.
Victory for me as well. And on the Sunday is Sydney v Wellington. I think Sydney do this easily.
Could be even uglier than Central Coast MacArthur. Yeah, Sydney for me too.
I think Sydney.
Yeah. My burning question of the week, if it's not Alan Stajic to be the coach under the pump, who is it? Giancarlo Italiano.
Yeah, but I think, to be fair, Italiano doesn't really have great resources to work with and is trying to maximise what he can do.
Yeah.
So, my burning question is, can Glory live up to the expectation in front of a potentially big crowd?
Yeah. Yep.
Mine, I think there is going to be, at some point, a scuffle or a shoving match. And I just wonder which Glory player gets involved first, and
Lawrence.
I'm putting my money on Nicholas Pennington.
Yeah, Nico. He doesn't take a backward step.
Needs to be a pylon.
We've got to get him.
Or Luke Amos, because I think Luke Amos, if he comes on, he'll get into it straight away.
Do you know what, though? I don't think Tom Lawrence is backwards and coming forwards. He went toe-to-toe with Sushinyar at the start of the season.
He did too.
Yeah.
And Sushinyar's a scary man.
Nah, you just have to giggle at him, like Lawrence was doing.
I'd love to see Lawrence bust out
Tickle
some
his
of
belly.
the...
Yeah.
Did Brisbane get anyone back? Jay O'Shea, possibly? He's done his foot, and then you got Justin Vidic.
I think they might get Jay O'Shea, might be in the window. It's a bit early in the week. We haven't got the
ins and outs
yet. But there we go. All right, let's wrap things up. It's been a big, albeit dusty, return to the Far Post Perth podcast for 2026. We are going to be back each and every week, all the way until the end of the A-League season. Don't forget to tell everyone about the Far Post Perth podcast. Tell your mum, tell your dad, tell Nan. She can tune in on Spotify, on Apple, and on YouTube Music. Big thanks to ID Athletic and, of course, Trio Homes. And we'll catch you this time next Tuesday.